The bus was crowded, humid, and loud, one of those evenings where the weight of the day pressed down on every shoulder. Amid the shuffling feet and tired faces, 17-year-old Aliyah stood silently, clutching her school bag to her chest, eyes darting. Nervously around the aisle, she had no choice but to take the bus home alone. That day her mom had to work late, and there was no one else. She thought she'd be fine. She always told herself she'd be fine. But today, something was different. Group of boys, no older than early 20s, boarded at the next stop. Loud, obnoxious, and cocky, they scanned the passengers for entertainment. It didn't take them long to spot her. One whistled low and leaned closer than necessary as he passed her, brushing his arm across hers. Another laughed, making comments in a language he assumed she didn't understand. Aliyah froze, her breathing shallow. Her hands trembled as she tried to shrink into the metal pole she held onto. She wanted to get off, but the next stop was still 5 minutes away. She glanced around for help. Nobody met her eyes. Most avoided looking at all, heads down, earbuds in, pretending they didn't see. That kind of silence screamed the loudest, just when Aliyah thought she might burst into tears or collapse from fear. A calm voice cut through the noise. "Hey," the man said gently. "There's a seat here. Come sit." She turned to see a tall man with kind eyes and a toddler sitting beside him, crayons scattered on his lap. He smiled reassuringly, shifting his bag so she could pass. Aliyah hesitated, still stunned, but he nodded slightly, his voice firmer this time. "You're not alone. Sit with me." With trembling legs, she stepped past the boys, who scoffed and muttered under their breath, and sat down quickly. The man gave her space but kept himself slightly leaned toward her, a quiet shield. His little daughter, barely 4, looked up and handed Aliyah a crayon. "You can draw too," she said innocently. Aliyah let out a breath she didn't realize. She was holding the kindness, cracking her emotional dam. Her eyes brimmed with tears, not of fear now, but of relief. They rode in silence for a while. The man didn't ask questions, didn't force a conversation. But when they reached her, "Stop." He stood with her and said quietly, "Do you want me to walk you the rest of the way? I can call your mom too." That night, Aliyah got home safe, but something deeper had shifted. The next day she went back to school, but the anxiety clung to her. She couldn't focus in class. She hadn't told her mom she didn't want to worry her, but that evening, when she boarded the bus again, her stomach turned. Would they be there again? As she scanned the aisle, a now familiar voice caught her ear. "Hey, you're back," the man said with a soft smile. "We saved your seat." She looked down to see his daughter again, proudly patting the space beside her. The first time in days. This time, she sat without hesitation. Over the next few weeks, friendship formed between the two strangers. His name was Omar, a 34-year-old single dad who worked at a local hardware store and took the bus every day to pick up his daughter from preschool. He never pried, never asked too many questions, but listened when Aliyah slowly opened up. She learned he lost his wife 3 years ago to cancer. He learned that Aliyah's father had left when she was 7, and her mom worked 2 jobs to keep things afloat. 2 people carrying heavy burdens, each quietly surviving their days. One day, Omar noticed a change. Aliyah seemed different, quieter than usual, fidgeting. She finally admitted the boys were back on the bus the day before. One followed her for a few stops after she got off. She hadn't told anyone. It's not her mom, not the school. Fear made her feel powerless. Omar didn't react in anger, but his voice was steady. "You need to report it. What if they find out? What if it gets worse? They only win if you stay silent," he said. "And you're not alone anymore, remember?" With his encouragement, she filed a complaint, and the CCTV footage backed her story. The bus service flagged the offenders, and with the help of her school counselor, a formal investigation began. They were suspended from using public transport and warned by authorities. Aliyah felt the strength return to her voice. Months later, Aliyah stood in front of a small gathering at her school. She'd been invited to speak during a Safe Spaces for Girls campaign. Her voice trembled at first, but as she told her story, how she felt invisible, How kindness saved her students leaned in. Teachers wiped their eyes. It wasn't just about harassment. It was about speaking up. And how even the smallest act of courage can spark healing. She ended her speech with a message. Someone told me I wasn't alone when I needed it most. That made all the difference. Now I want to be that someone for others. Outside, waiting in his usual spot, was Omar. With his daughter on his shoulders, "You did good," he said, handing her a juice box like it was a trophy. "I did," she smiled. "Thanks to you."